Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Truckers Podcast, FYI. I'm your host, Doug from Ontario, Canada. 8:30 p.m. here on the 22nd of August. And welcome to the show. And let's have a round of applause for Doug coming back. Well, thank you for that. Anyways, yes, once again, I have been absent from my podcast. The last 2 weeks, well, really basically the beginning of August. So the 3rd of August to the 17th of August, I was on a 2-week holiday hiatus. Prior to that, 3 weeks approximately leading up to my vacation, didn't do very many shows out there. I tried to do that Monday, Wednesday thing, Monday, Wednesday, Friday thing. That didn't work out. Work was just chaotic. It's really hard to get in an evening show during a weekday. Today is pretty simple. I was done earlier. I was late last night getting home. I didn't walk into my door until 9 p.m. last night. But I am back. The role of community engagement. Well, let's talk about what candidates who are running for, I don't know, prime minister's office, premier's office, the mayor's office, the president of the United States. They need to talk about the real issues that we are facing today. I mean, Donald Trump can't even stay on cue for 1 minute. And then when he does start talking about something, you know, say the economy, he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Thank you for joining me. I'm your host, Doug from Ontario, Canada. Yes, I've been away for a little while. Not away, but away from the microphone. Waiting for things to transpire, waiting for things to happen, waiting for things to get lively. Waiting to see what the government is going to be doing about the rising cost of living, the housing affordability, our health care, our economic inequalities, climate change and the environment concerns, disinformation and artificial intelligence that spread misinformation that the rapid development of IA technologies are creating new challenges. What are they going to do about this? Well, like I said, whether you're running for a prime minister's office, you're running for the mayor's office, you're running for the premier's office, you're running for the president of the United States, you have to start addressing these problems. And on your campaign rallies, you have to stick to what matters to the people. Donald Trump is too busy blaming everyone else for his problems. He's a convicted felon. 34 individual counts of fraud, sexual assault. I can't even understand how someone who's a convicted criminal can even run for the presidency of the United States. Donald Trump is a fraud. Kamala Harris, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, the Vice President of the United States, is now nominated by her peers, and she's picking up steam like no one's ever seen before. This is a candidate that you want to get behind. You really do. You know, the United States elections is the most watched elections in the entire world. They should be talking about the rising cost of living, and not just here in Canada, in the United States, Europe, all over the world, that we're struggling with the increasing cost of living, which includes higher prices for housing, groceries, and other essentials. Addressing this issue may involve implementing policies to control inflation, increase wages, and providing financial support to those in need. I mean, do we need to increase the disability supplement? Do we need to increase welfare? Minimum wage? Minimum wage here in Ontario, I believe, is $16.85 an hour. I could be wrong. I'll have to probably fact check that. Housing affordability and accessibility. Oh, so when it comes to social housing, we don't have accessibility. I've mentioned this before. At least a 10-year waiting list for social housing. Housing affordability, well, it's become a major concern. Solutions could include increasing the supply of affordable housing. Well, our Premier of Ontario has been talking about building affordable housing. He wants to build 1.5 million homes over the next 10 years. But what is affordability? Now, if you live here in Ontario, Canada, do you honestly think that Premier Doug Ford is going to build affordable housing? Probably not. What his affordable means is people who are making over $200,000 a year, they can afford these $1 million homes, $800,000 homes. Affordability, housing affordability, not just when it comes to rent, because we've seen the rents doubled. We've seen the rents triple. We're seeing reno evictions. We'll talk about that for a moment because communities around here in Ontario, and it started in Hamilton, the city of Hamilton, Ontario, a bylaw that hopefully will help stop reno evictions, because what is happening is that the landlord issues I believe it's an N13 form saying that the tenant must move out of the unit they are occupying in order for them to complete renovations, and that the tenant can move in once the renovations are done, which in a lot of cases that is not happening. See, the tenant has the first right of refusal, or the tenant can move in once the renovations are done at the current rent they're paying. So if the rent was $850 a month for a one-bedroom apartment, then that's what it would be when the tenant moves back in. But what is happening, the landlord is not telling the tenant when the renovations are done, re-rents the apartment out for $1,600 a month. So what the city of Hamilton did was come up with this bylaw that all landlords have to file an application with the city, cost them $400 per application, for an inspector to go to their property and inspect their units to see whether or not the tenant has to move out during these renovations. Has to stipulate what type of renovations that he or she are going to be doing. Is it going to be painting? Is it going to be replacing the sliding doors? Or maybe they want to put down laminate floors and they want to put in new appliances, fridge, stove. Whatever the case may be, does the tenant have to move out? Probably in these cases, no. Because if you've done any home renovations before and you want to put in laminate floors and you want to do the home renovations yourself, even if you hired a contractor, you don't have to move out of your house. You just move your furniture around and put the laminate floor down. You don't have to move out of your house if you're replacing your sliding patio doors to your deck. You don't have to move out of your house if you hire a painter to paint the interior of your home. You don't have to move out of your house though the appliances are being replaced. These are the type of renovations that these landlords would particularly be doing. But they're not telling the tenant that it's all done and you can move back in, because they know the tenant has the right to do that, and they know the tenant has the right to pay the same rent that they were paying. So this is what the city of Hamilton has implicated, is that you have to pay the $400 inspection fee. Inspector's going to come out and see whether or not the tenant has to move. And if the tenant does have to move out, then the landlord has to put that tenant up in another available unit or pay their hotel costs. And they have to inform the inspector every step of the way until the job is done. This job can't drag on for months on end. There's a timeline. It's not like he's tearing down the entire property and building a brand new house. He's doing cosmetic changes to the interior of the property. And then once they meet that timeline and the job is done, then the tenant moves back into that unit paying $850 a month. Now, if the landlord wants to get an increase in rent above the guidelines, then the landlord, he or she, has to apply to the landlord's tenants board in order to do that. And provide all documentations, all the costs, what it costs you to do your renovations, whether they get a 5% increase, a 10% increase, a 2% increase, that'll be entirely up to the landlord's tenants board. Here in the city where I reside in, and other communities or cities are looking at what Hamilton was doing. People say that this may be legal challenges. People say, well, the Landlords Tenants Board already has protections set in to protect the tenant. But that's not working, because what I said earlier is that the landlords are not telling the tenants when the renovations are done and re-renting it to somebody else for twice or three times the amount of rent. And then there comes the thing that housing is a right. I remember that there was a town meeting at City Hall last month, and an investor buys property, rents out properties, does whatever, doesn't think so. Doesn't think it is a human fundamental right for housing, when in fact it is. And I can't stand arrogant and ignorant people like that. Now, the city what I reside in, they're not going to make it retroactive, which is really unfortunate, because there are rental evictions going on, and there are rental evictions, that are tied up in the Landlords Tenants Board, waiting for a decision. So housing affordability, right now, building a house, it's $500 a square foot and up. The federal government, provincial government, and the municipalities need to work together and find a way and find a solution that they can actually build $200 a square foot to $250 a square foot to make it affordable for a lot more people. If you build a 1,600 square foot house, 1,800 square foot house, let's say 1,600 square foot house, you're looking at, around $350,000 for, say, I think it's $200 a square foot. Those are affordable housing. Housing affordability. And of course, the Bank of Canada, yes, the rates have come down, but we're still sitting at 4.5%. Are they going to make more cuts coming in September? I don't know. Healthcare is another. And access to quality healthcare remains a critical issue. Improving the healthcare infrastructure. More doctors, more nurses, increasing funding for the public health services, which our Premier of Ontario thinks that our tax dollars should go to the private sector, not spending our tax dollars on hiring more nurses, more doctors, more PSW PSWs. Freeing up hospital beds is not an easy task, as the government is finding that out the hard way. They implemented this new rule that, okay, so people who are in long-term care in hospitals now have a choice, or they get 5 choices of the places that they would like to go to, because they're not going back to their home. They're going to go to a nursing home. So they give them 5 choices. If their first choice doesn't come available and it's the second choice, generally they accept the second choice because, it's a pretty nice place. Third, fourth, fifth places, the patients tend to say no. And what happens, though, if the first and second choice isn't available, the third choice comes up, the patient says no. They start charging them $400 a day. That is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. The Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, thinks that people are dying fast enough in nursing homes that we can just move people into these beds. That's not the case. The other thing they decided to do, okay, people who live in the rural areas outside of major cities, they can be moved 170 kilometers away from their loved ones. And people who live in the cities can be moved anywhere from 40 to 50 kilometers away from their loved ones. That puts a lot of strain on families, especially traveling expenses, or can they travel? People rely on public transit. Public transit doesn't go out to the rural areas to pick you up to bring you into the city to see if you love your loved ones. And if you have nobody else that can drive you, then the sad reality of that is that you won't see your loved ones again. This is an initiative by the Ontario government. What we need to do, I think, is we have to have home care. People can have that dignity of staying in their homes with professional health care. Paid by the Ontario government, paid by our taxes. PSW and a nurse. He wants to free up hospital beds. Let's keep people in their homes. When it also comes to healthcare, is people for surgeries, for hip surgery, knee surgery, foot surgery, whatever that case may be. Doug Ford thinks that should be going to the private sector. Doctors in our hospitals all across Ontario say, well, we have operating rooms, and when they're least used is at nighttime. No, but Doug Ford thinks that no. And pharmacists now can do basic checkups, right? If you go to the pharmacy because you have pink eye, now the pharmacist can check you out and identify, yes, you have pink eye, and give you the over-counter medicine. Because you can go into the pharmacy and you can go into eye care and you can find the medication on the shelf for pink eye. Why the hell would I want to go to the pharmacist because I got pink eye? Oh, I got a cough due to a cold. Because you can't get in to see your doctor. Or you don't have a doctor. Your doctor's too busy or you don't have a doctor. So people who don't have doctors, they go to walk-in clinics. Now they can go to their pharmacists. I got a cough due to a cold. They can give her the over-the-counter cough medicine. What a waste of taxpayers' dollars. We need more family doctors is what we need. But no, Doug Ford wants to throw the money into the private sector. This is what else that he did last month. Like the United States, you can go to your local corner convenience store and buy alcohol. Now that's slowly happening here. So what Doug Ford did was he spends $1 billion. $1 billion. I can't even make that amount up. $1 billion on putting ready-to-drink alcohol beverages in your corner convenience stores because Doug Ford thinks that's what Ontarians want. When we fill up for gas and we go and pay for our gas, if you just rather just go inside, pay for your gas, I can get a 6-pack of beer. I can get a bottle of whiskey. Or whatever the case may be. This is what Doug Ford thinks that is important to people who live here in Ontario. Well, he's wrong. And then we have the economic inequalities. The disparities are growing, leading to a sense of powerlessness among many Canadians. Policies aimed at reducing income inequality, such as progressive taxation and social welfare programs, can help mitigate this issue. We pay a lot of taxes here in Canada. Every province is, different. We have the GST and the HST. We generally pay 13% on our goods and services. A tax break at this point in time would be helpful until things started to get better. The bank interest rates start coming down, not by a half a point at a time, but at a point at a time. We're at 4.5% now. Let's drop it down to 3.5%. Climate change and environmental concerns are also on the minds of many Canadians, and how it poses a significant threat to Canada with increasing frequency of extreme weather events. Start investing in renewable energy, implementing stricter environmental regulations. Look at these big corporations. They line the pockets of our politicians. So how are you going to do that? Start putting stricter environmental regulations on the big polluters out there. And by promoting sustainable practices can help combat climate change. I mean, you're seeing more and more electric vehicles rolling off the assembly lines. But who in the hell can afford them right now? I mean, if you go buy a brand new 2024 fully loaded F-150 Ford pickup truck, you're going to pay over $100,000 for it. And what do you think you're going to pay for an electric F Ford 150 fully loaded? Well, you think it's going to be cheaper? Maybe someday when the demand is there. But right now, the demand isn't there. Everybody's not running out the door to buy an electric vehicle. Artificial intelligence, good or bad, I don't really know. But at this point in time, it can spread a lot of disinformation. And, and so, the artificial intelligence, so the spread of misinformation, excuse me, and disinformation, and enhancing digital literacy, and by regulating the artificial intelligence development and promoting accurate information can help address these issues. Have I taken a deep dive of what it takes to build those electric vehicles? Well, we have to build the electric batteries first, and we're building electric battery plants. Here in Canada, Windsor is one of them. St. Thomas, just outside of the city I reside in, is another one that are building these battery plants. Yes, your car is still going to be made of plastic that you drive today. But it's going to be expensive. It's going to be expensive. So by addressing all these challenges that we are facing today, and with combination of government action, community involvement, and individual efforts, we have to be able to create a more sustainable future for our kids, for our grandkids, great grandchildren. Well, unfortunately, that's the thing. You are correct on that. You do need oil to make plastics. Cars have come away when they're actually made out of metal. To your tin door and plastic bumpers. Seems to me, I mean, they want all this, green energy and everything that and go green and stuff like that. Well, how do we eliminate plastic? What is the need for plastic? We need the plastic. We need the plastic water bottles that you go buy a case of water from your local grocery store. Turn on your tap, because that crap you buy in the grocery store is tap water. Buying a case of tap water when you can go turn on your tap and drink the water. Here in Canada, we eliminated all your plastic forks, knives, and spoons. Eliminated the plastic straws. eliminate a lot of plastic. But we're not going after these big corporations like Nestle. Nestle water. Nestle makes ice cream. Now Nestle's in the water business. Bottled water. Your bottled water is tap water. Where do you think they're getting the water from? Our household, we get our water from the Great Lakes. We get our water from Lake Huron. Where do you think Nestle is getting the water to fill their bottled water, their plastic bottles from? Lake Huron. Same water that's coming out of your tap. It's crazy. Now, how is the medical care up here in Canada from my perspective? Well, let's say the pandemic didn't help. Put a lot of backlog on a lot of different things, operations, surgeries. In general perspective, I mean, you go to the hospital for anything, you go to your doctor for anything. Um, Most people have drug plans at work. Um, if you don't, um, there's social services out there that'll help you. You're not going to be left standing with the bill. If I need surgery, if I need hip surgery, if I need hip replacement, it doesn't cost me anything. Well, it does cost me, but not just out of the immediate pocket. We pay our taxes. All our taxes go into a pool and they draw from that pool. That's how we have this healthcare in Canada. But like I mentioned earlier, the Premier of Ontario here wants to um, speed up of emptying beds in the hospital. It's not going very well for him because people aren't dying fast enough in nursing homes in order to free up hospital beds in hospitals. Selling off our healthcare services to the private sector is pissing off a lot of Canadians here in Ontario. Now, yes, you can still go use your health card, but people have also have claimed about these private sectors offering them service on top of the service that they don't have to pay for it. This is better for you. They're not allowed to do that. So if the private sector is going to be doing hip replacement and the Ontario Hospital Insurance Plan is going to be paying for the hip replacement, they're not going to sell me upgrades at the private sector. You're going to give me the same hip replacement the hospital is going to give me. I mean, wait times, in the emergency departments has drastically have come down. Yes, it is you know, still not, back pre-pandemic. Yeah, well, that is, use the healthcare to live longer and have politicians, especially about the elderly, not dying or not dying earlier. Well, yeah, so so when it comes to the housing initiative by the Ontario government, you know, Premier Doug Ford thinks that getting more people out of the hospitals into nursing homes is part of the initiative of building 1.5 million homes. I mean, he sounds like Donald Trump. Now, I mean, we can be doing things ourselves too. I mean, we can all sit back and we can all bitch and complain about the government, or we can do things to hopefully help things by volunteer for local organizations, look for nonprofits, community centers, shelters, charities that align with your interests and values, and volunteering your time and skills to make a significant difference. Participate in community events, attend local events, workshops, town hall meetings, learn about the local issues, try to make a contribution to discussion and decision making processes. Join a community service group. Support local business. Shopping at local business and promoting them can help strengthen the local economy and foster a sense of community. Engage in civic activities. Participate in local government meetings. Join advocacy groups. Get involved in local decision-making processes. Your input can help shape policies and initiatives and the benefits of the community. Connect with your local leaders and organizations. Local leaders and organizations to express your interest in getting involved. I think any idea is a helpful idea. The Ontario government just recently mentioned that our safe drug and our safe drug places where people can go under supervision and prevent overdoses. What Doug Ford wants to do, he wants to close those places. 10 of them right across the province by next March. We have problems just like everybody else does, obviously. Our homeless Do I think Trudeau is the illegitimate of who? No, he's not. Of Fidel Castro. No, he's not the illegitimate son of Fidel Castro. His father was Pierre Trudeau. Anyways, today, Canadian Pacific and the Canadian National Railroads went on strike. That's a big hit to the economy. The labor ministers of the government now um, are stepping in. I would say by the end of the week, I would give it probably. I'd probably give it to Monday that they would be ordered back to work. Transportation, whether it's by air, land, or sea, are the backbones of the economy when it comes to delivering essential services, are essentials that we need. Just think about if the trucking industry decided to say, what, fuck it, we're shutting down. Drivers just walk off the job. How long do you think it would take for every gas station to run out of gas? It would take a day. How long do you think that your grocery store's shelves would become depleted? How long do you think that would take? 2 days. When those essentials are gone, and when the truckers decide to jump back in their rigs and start refilling the shelves, we wouldn't fill them fast enough. Unions started many, many decades ago to protect the workers, to protect the workers' rights. Now it's gimme, 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 gimme. How much money do you think a train engineer makes every single year to operate those locomotives? Air Canada is thinking about going on strike next month. How much do you think those pilots make every single year to fly those airplanes? You're probably pretty close. 6 figures. But it's always about money. Money, money, money. I want more money. If I went to my boss and I said I want more money, probably just laugh in my face. See, unions were there to protect the workers' rights. There wasn't any abuse from the employers. People were treated with respect. So they weren't made to work 20 hours a day. for health and safety reasons, to be protected. But today, that's what not unions are not about that. Next weekend is Labor Day weekend. And you can Google search how did it all come about. And it'll talk about the labor movement in the early stages, in the early days. I mean, I can't even believe that it's actually next weekend is Labor Day weekend. End of summer holidays. Not the official end of summer. Summer doesn't end till September 21st, but holidays come drawing to an end. College is back in school. Universities are back in school. Grade schools are back in school. Everybody's holidays are done until Christmas holidays. I can't even believe I even mentioned Christmas. Still a long ways away. I just finished my 2 weeks holidays. This is my first week back from 2 weeks vacation. Until next year. Till the beginning of next August. Whoops. The other things that we're looking at, some of the things that are causing our inflation. Cost of groceries. Supply chain disruptions. Well, Canadian National and the Canadian Pacific trains just went on strike. Supply chain disruptions. Labor shortages. Ongoing labor shortages in various sectors, including the agriculture and transportation, that have led to increased costs for production and distribution. Weather and climate, energy costs, interest rates. So what can we do? Plan your meals. Create a meal plan for the week and make a shopping list based on that plan. To help you avoid impulse purchases and reduce food waste. Don't bring your children to the grocery store. Unfortunately, there are people who have to bring their children to the grocery store because they're single parents. They can't get a sitter, so they got to bring their kids to the grocery store. But the meal plans, you have to stick to the plans. Could we be buying in bulk, like going to Costco? Purchasing items in bulk can often save money in the long run, especially for non-perishable goods. Kids need snacks to go back to school. This is when, your grocery bill now is going to start to increase even more because now kids needs lunches to go back to school. Use coupons. I mean, do you go get the coupons in the mail and do you clip out the coupons, sit down there and cut out the coupons and savings? Price match. I mean, are the grocery stores even price matching anymore? They're saying, no, just pay the goddamn price. Take advantage of coupons, discounts, and store loyalty programs to save on your grocery bill. Shop seasonal and local. Limit the convenient foods. These processed and convenient foods tend to be more expensive. So cooking from scratch can save you money as well. Yeah, everybody likes that treat. You know, you had your dinner at 5 o'clock. 8 o'clock, you feel hungry. So you order a pizza. Or you go out to McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's. Oh, wait a minute. You're not going to get in your car and drive to Burger King, Wendy's, and McDonald's. You're going to get Uber Eats. Skip the dishes. Hell, you're going to sit in your lazy boy chair and have it delivered to your door. You're not going to run out the door to the closest pizza parlor to you. No. You're going to pick up the phone and have it delivered. Now you're spending extra money. Compare prices. Pay attention to the prices at different stores and look for sales and promotions. I mean, you know, they talked about potentially price gouging. Grocery stores making record profits. Grocery stores has always made record profits. But what's driving it? Supply and demand, supply chain disruptions, the environment, extreme weather patterns all around the world. Federal government, you know, people. I don't blame anybody for, you know, getting in an uproar about prices. You know, the federal government here in Canada says, okay, I want the CEO of Walmart, Costco, Great Canadian Superstore, other big grocery store chains. I'm going to sit down and talk to you about why the prices are so damn high. And if they don't resolve the problem, the government said it's going to resolve the problem for them. Well, here we are. Prices haven't come down. So they have this grocery code of conduct. I'm not even sure what that is. Apparently, that everybody gets on board. All the big grocery store chains gets on board of this grocery store conduct, and this is supposedly to help lower the frickin' costs of our groceries. I don't know. We have to fix the supply chain problem. We have to fix the climate problem. Are higher wages, going to make the groceries cheaper? If the grocery stores have to pay their employers more money, they're going to pass that cost on to you. If they have to pay more in energy costs, they're going to pass that on to you. If they pay more in transportation costs, they're going to pass that cost on to you. And the suppliers are going to pass the cost on to the grocery stores because half the crops just got wiped out. And why should a T-bone steak cost $25? What is the cow got balls of gold that T-bone steak has to cost $25? It's ridiculous. You've seen the cost of milk. You've seen the cost of bread. Was it different when I was growing up somehow? I don't know. When I was a kid, I can't make this up. When I was a kid, go to the store, loaf of bread was 25 cents. I was a kid in the 70s. 1972, I was 9 years old. Now you go to the grocery store, and the same loaf of bread, white bread, is now over $3. Never mind those multigrains and the flax bread, nearly $6. Buy your cereal for your kids. Packaging is getting smaller, but the prices are not. Same box of cereal that my parents bought when I was a kid is certainly a different size today and for more money. What's a liter of milk? I don't know. $5? $6? Just the basic necessities of what we need is just getting out of the reach of a lot of people. When I was a kid going to school, we didn't have a meal program. We didn't have a breakfast program. They sure do now. So kids can go school in the morning because this is where they're going to get their breakfast from. I mean, pretty soon we're going to have a lunch program too, if they're not already started one. And who has to pay for that? Taxpayers have to pay for that because we pay our taxes to the government. So the role in community engagement identify a need. Let's talk about the food banks. There was a food bank in a community, a small community, and they ran out of food. That's shocking. So identify needs. So identify the food banks. Identify the issues, areas that need improvement. So we can talk to our neighbors, our friends, our coworkers. organizations and understand the most pressing needs. And then we have to research a plan. So you identified the need, research similar initiatives to see what goes on. We have food drives. This coming October is Canada's Thanksgiving. So we're starting a food drive. So we're going to research the plan. Then we got to build a team. So you got to gather a group of your friends, like-minded, not light-minded, like-minded individuals who are passionate about that cause. Now we set a budget. Determine the financial resources required for your initiative, whatever that initiative may be. It could be for the food bank. So now we got to raise money to go around and get and buy groceries from the grocery stores and take it to the food bank. So we have to set a budget of how much people want to give, how much you want to raise. Promote your initiative. Like I say, you can talk to your neighbors. I mean, you can text your neighbor now. You can text your neighbor next door. You don't have to go knock on the door. Say, hey Mary, we're starting this this team to get together and figure out how we can support the food bank better. Back when I was growing up, you actually walked out the front door, went next door, and knocked on your neighbor's door. What a concept. You can actually still do that today. Neighbor lives across the street, but no, you're sitting there watching this sporting event or something like that, and you text them. And at the end of the day, after you execute everything and you implement your plan and you keep track of your progress, and at the end of the day, you can evaluate and reflect. And after completing a project, evaluate the impact and gather feedback from the participants and the community, and reflect on what worked well and what could be improved for the future initiatives. But I don't want to take up too much of your time, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you coming out here. And I know that I know that I have been absent from my podcast. Like I say, last 2 weeks I was on the holidays. 3 weeks prior to that, I had a plan to say, because it's really difficult to come out during a weekday to do a podcast. I work long hours. Sometimes I get a shorter day if I'm lucky. I had a shorter day today, so I guess I was lucky. I was going to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I think it lasted 1 week. And I was getting home later. Last night I didn't walk in my front door until 9 o'clock last night. Start at work at 6:30 in the morning. And that was only Wednesday. Monday was something like 7:30. Tuesday was around 8 o'clock. Last night was 9 o'clock. Today was about 4:30. Tomorrow I'm gonna have a big day. It's Friday because they're gonna, do my deliveries, and they're gonna, shippers are gonna ship out for next week. So my next episode is gonna be this Saturday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Sunday 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. And next weekend, like I said, is Labor Day weekend. I took next Friday off. So I can do a show next Friday. I believe that's the 30th. I have to check my calendar. I believe it is the 30th. Yeah, next Friday is the 30th. I took that day off. Go back to work for a couple weeks and take a day off after 2 weeks holidays. That's great. So I can do a show next Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, because Monday's Labor Day. I don't work Labor Day. So I have a 4-day weekend next weekend. So we can get a lot of shows in the next couple weeks and keep this show going. Because I like doing this show. I like having you come on my show, interacting with you and you interacting with me. I'm not even sure what episode this is. This could be like episode 450, 459. I started doing the podcast in 2019. Started out on weekends, Saturday morning, Sunday mornings. Oh, then I wasn't working Mondays. Unfortunately, the last couple of years I had to go back working Mondays because the company demanded it. And I was doing Monday morning shows. That doesn't happen anymore. But anyways, like I said, weekend's here. Well, almost here. Tomorrow's Friday. We'll get through Friday. We'll get through it. Saturday morning at 8:30 a.m. I will post that show up and what that topic will be. I'm just going to go do a little bit of research because I got a bunch of stuff on my phone too. And we'll talk about more about things, about, what is troubling us, what is going on. What does the government want to do about it? Our homeless situation is horrible, right? It's a crisis. We can talk about that. Tent encampments. We can talk about that. So until Saturday, the 24th at 8:30 a.m. Hope to see you here. If you can be here, that's great. If you can't, I understand. Enjoy what's left of the week is Friday, weekend, like the work week, and then the weekend, right? We do whatever we can to get there. We love our weekends. So enjoy the rest of your evening, ladies and gentlemen. Your Friday. Hopefully see you here Saturday morning. Have a good night.